So I am counting down the days until the Fallout 76 release. I am so hyped for this, and I personally really enjoyed the beta. Overall, I had a ton of fun, but there are problems with Fallout 76 that kind of bog down the experience. There's these minute problems that when you collect them together, they become a bigger problem and a chore for players. We're going to be talking about everything from the map, to the camps, to settlements, to the world nuclear codes, and the inventory and stash system. As you guys already know, the stash limit is an issue. I'm not going to be redundant with that in this video. We're going to be talking about other things as well as that. But so you know, we're not going to be too redundant in this video. You've probably already heard that. But yeah, we're also going to be checking out some of my beta gameplay here as well against this super mutant horde, I guess you would call it. But welcome back, my fellow Vault Dwellers and Wasteland Wonders, to Open World Games. Let's do this. Let's dive straight in to the problems of Fallout 76 and how they can be addressed. So first of all, let's dive into the world and, you know, vendors and stuff like that. So first of all, one big issue that we did notice when playing the game, me and my team, is that caps are actually shared between vendors. This is a big issue. You'll notice that if you try selling items and that vendor runs out of caps, you're going to run into major issues, because if you try to jump to another vendor, they're going to have no caps because caps are shared between the world. That's a big problem and definitely needs to be addressed in the future. Now, also, a lot of you guys were expecting to build like huge cities in this game with you know, the camp tools and the settlement tools. There was a lot of stuff you could do with Fallout 4, but the building limits right now, the building limitations are pretty severe, and I hope this changes down the road. I'm hoping that they have really open areas in the game that aren't cluttered too much with graphical assets that do allow for really large settlement buildings, because I could see the potential of something like that bogging down the engine for sure. But I think if they have like a field or something like that that have less assets in it or around it, then I think that could definitely help with that. So hopefully they do address that and we could get to building some really big settlements and facilities. Also, let's move on to the next set of news. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the stash here. So there needs to be a change here with how the actual storage and stash system, works at your workshop. So the stash needs to be shared between all of the workshops within your camp and area. For example, why in the world do I have to go back to my personal stash, put it into my personal inventory, and then go over to the workshop? Why can't the workshop access the materials from my stash? It's kind of maddening, and it really gets annoying managing your inventory when you're bouncing back and forth between the stash. And of course, the stash limit does need to be increased, but this is also a minute pain in the butt when you're dealing with your stash. Now, also, when it comes to your weapons breaking in the game, I do think that there needs to be a more prominent warning before your weapons break. You do get that warning, of course. As you can see, there's several warnings here on my HUD in the lower right, indicating that my armor's broken and stuff like that. I need to repair it. But I feel like the weapons break suddenly sometimes, and there needs to be more of an audible warning or something like that. Now, also, another issue is you cannot sell ammo in this game. You can't even break it down, and this is extremely frustrating when you're left with like thousands of rounds that you are not using simply because you're not using that type of weapon or that ammo. So it would be nice to be able to sell that ammo in this game. So hopefully they add that down the road as well. Now, also, let's talk a little bit about the map. I think the map does need to be improved on various fronts. The most important front is the fact that there needs to be zones right there on the map, like we have seen in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It tells you the level zones and level requirements before exploring. Now, it would be nice if, you know, there was more of a sense exploring this aspect itself, in that you may have to discover or scout ahead in some way to discover the zoning. But I personally think it would be a nice feature to at least know, to alleviate frustration, you know, the required level before heading into a zone. Now, also with the map, it would be nice to have the interiors have their own maps. That is extremely frustrating, excuse me, that they do not have this in Fallout 76. I'm pretty shocked that they don't have this in this game. And I think, personally, it's kind of a requirement, and it would be nice to see that updated down the road. Now, a lot of you guys do know that nuclear codes do expire in Fallout 76, but we don't get, like, an appropriate timer in this game. So I'm hoping that they can also consider adding a timer as well, and then also increase the FOV, have an FOV slider in the game, too. That sure would be nice. They did leave some comments there about that as well. So hopefully we get that too. Now, something that does annoy me personally is the horrible blur effect. Like when you look down at the ground just a little bit, the distant area in the distance that becomes blurry. And for me, that is annoying. So I hope they adjust this as well and have more graphical options. I don't remember Fallout 4 having this effect, and it really does personally bother me. And I wonder if it also bogs down the game, because that's just an additional effect on the graphics engine, especially when we're talking about consoles. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about inventory right now and what needs to change with stash, the storage and stuff like that. So let's get into this. So when you jump into your inventory, you can sort it to a degree, but you can't really see, the overall weight of your aid, your weapons, your armor. I need to see the overall weight in that category to quickly identify what the problem is when I become over encumbered, because sometimes it's hard to identify. Maybe I accidentally have, leftover missiles that weigh 6 pounds apiece, or fusion cores in my inventory. I just need to be able to look at my ammo and see, oh, there is definitely something in my ammo, because the overall weight limit is way too high. There's definitely something wrong there. So that would be super helpful down the road to have something like that for sure. Now, also, we need to be able to sort items by drink, food, healing, and radiation resistance. I think when you pop open the inventory and you are under your aid, you should be able to see, a bar that says drink, and it's like highlighted. And then under that, you see the drinks that you can actually consume, and then food, and then healing items, all quickly sorted. And you can kind of minimize those tabs and expand those tabs as well if you wanted to. The same thing should be true about weapons as well. I should be able to go underneath my weapons and see it sorted clearly, with labels where it says at the top, you have your powder weapons, and then that list, and this list can be expanded and then, kind of hidden away. And if I don't use powder weapons, then you have pipe weapons. I can minimize that if I wanted to, or maximize that and see the list of pipe weapons, and then so on and so forth. I think that would make things so much easier, because you run into the problem where, hey, I want to get rid of my pipe weapons, but they're labeled weirdly. You have marksman, you have short pipe pistol, and a lot of times it's alphabetical. It becomes such an issue just sorting through your inventory. Just the time just to figure out where everything is gets to be a pain in the butt, between managing your stash, inventory, and as you can see, you're going through the game, you're going through playing the events, playing it from moment to moment, and you're trying to manage all of this. It's one moment you're managing your inventory, then you're managing your favorites, then you're managing the stash, then you're managing being over encumbered. And it just becomes where it's constantly managing you're in some sort of menu pretty consistently in the game experience. So also, let's talk about the weapon wheel. Now, I think there's some interesting things that can be done with the actual wheel itself. Now, you can put buffs in the wheel, weapons, and all sorts of cool stuff. But I think it would be cool if the weapon wheel was sorted by thirds. So you can have, healing in 1/3 of the weapon wheel, your actual weapons in 1/3, and then buffs for, Radaway and stuff like that in another third. And I think it would be easy to identify, okay, go to the, upper right third of the weapon wheel. I know that my weapons are going to be right there, and I think it would also help console players, especially in this regard. Now, when it comes to healing, of course, you go ahead and choose what healing item you want. This is for PC, and I'm going to get into console in just a moment as well. But you identify what you want, You quick slot it, you put it in the key that you want, and then if you like are in battle, so let's give an example. I'm in battle, I've equipped my healing to the equal sign, you know, or whatever, and I'm tapping that, and I noticed that I'm getting hit hard, and I'm going through my stim pack or something like that. I'm out of my stim pack, so I've got to go to the next key. Hopefully, I prepared myself, and then you end up running out of your healing items. It would be nice to have like a universal healing key that knows that when you're out of stim packs, you keep hitting that key, you're on to the next best thing. Whether it's food or whatever, it's going to heal you no matter what. It just rolls over to what is next in your list. It should be an option like an emergency button or something like that. That would be very, very cool in my opinion. And I think it would ease players away from getting into their menus during combat. That should be priority in this game, to really take players away from the menus and staying into that moment-to-moment combat. Now, also, I think that the quick D-pad function on consoles could be changed as well. As you guys know, you press right on the D-pad to really heal up, but it would be cool if you can cycle through healing items just by pressing right, and then holding down right, you use that item that you are highlighted over. And again, you're limiting yourself from diving back into those menus. Same thing could be true about other things as well with the D-pad on consoles. So that is my opinion on that one, and we're going to be talking about a little bit more here as well. So I wanted to go over your top comments right now, so let's do this. So remember, always leave a comment down below. It may end up in a future video. You never know. So the first top comment comes from Stanley Fills, who says, I suggest a DLC involving another vault opening up about 3 to 6 months down the line of the release date. This could give us another main quest line while simultaneously repopulating the game with NPCs. That'd be very cool. I think it would be very cool if they added proper NPCs. I'm still kind of like confused as to why they didn't. I know that there's explanations, I get it, but I still think a lot of us would be more comfortable with NPCs roaming around the world. Considering, you know, you go to the Greenbrier and you see a bunch of robots, I'm like, it would have been cool if these were like people roaming around. But yeah, would be neat to see some sort of NPCs added down the road. And then Jay Hacker says this, watch them increase the stash size to 400 to 400.5. That would be horrible. That would be hilariously bad. I don't think that's going to ever happen. So, yeah, it'd be a bummer if that did happen for sure. All right, guys, there it is. The latest around Fallout 76 and some of my ideas around improving the game experience overall. Let me know what you think needs to improve in the game. But I do think some of these issues are, you know, kind of minor when you first start the game, and then they start piling on top of each other. You're realizing, okay, you know, I figured out the endurance issue. Now I'm, you know, figuring out how to slot stuff. Then, you know, you have issues where you can't sell ammo. Then you run into an issue with the caps being shared between vendors, and it just kind of piles on over time. So it's lots of little things I think can be addressed, and I think the big one, personally, is the stash storage issue and the inventory. Those should be priority. Those need to be improved by leaps and bounds because they're pain in the butt to manage. And I'm surprised that they aren't improved right now, considering, you know, Fallout 4 released years and years ago. But guys, hopefully it all gets improved. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned here to Fallout 76. Looking forward to release. I'll keep you guys updated about patches, DLC, all sorts of stuff. But thanks for watching, and I will see you back in the wasteland soon enough. Take care.